Welcome to Overwatch. Welcome to another episode of Coaching the Many. Today, talking about DPS. Before I begin, because I'm not going to be lazy this time, I'm going to actually put this on YouTube immediately after I'm done streaming. So the first thing, need content, need videos being sent in, especially on current patch, because there's a brand new spicy patch out there. This, unfortunately, is pre-patch, so Pharah is pre-changes Pharah. I'm going to temper my words and not say pre-nerf. I'm just going to say pre-changes to Pharah. So Pharah is old Pharah still, slower rocket fire, but bigger splash, bigger booms. So all that stuff. But yeah, if you have footage, please send it in. Please send it into oamreviews@gmail.com if you want it in chat. It should be in the description below on YouTube, but it's also going to be in chat in a second. So there you go. So if you have footage, send it in, get it reviewed. Good stuff. Right. So before we begin, also, so it was mentioned in chat, you can see it on screen. Like, this looks like a bit of a mess with all the swapping. I wouldn't be too dissuaded by that, primarily just because it is 2CP, right? You can change through at least 3 heroes reliably on 2CP. So it's like, okay, well, on this map, you know, Pharah might be your pick, and then on Ruins, you might go to Widow, for example. So changing around heroes isn't the end of the world. So seeing a high hero count here isn't like apocalyptically bad. Also, just quickly, this isn't actually a proper 6-stack. This is the LFG tool being used. I'm actually curious if Bamboozled, the person who sent the footage in, if Bamboozled is here, like, how did you find using the LFG system? Because I tend to shy away from it, but you know, I just think this should be default, right? But yeah, don't be fooled. It's not just a 6-stack. It is just LFG, so these are just randos meeting each other for the first time. It's a minor bit of organization, and you have to fight enemy 6-stacks. Isn't that fun? Isn't that fair? This is why people don't use LFG, by the way. Just very quickly, just to rant on the topic. The reason why people don't use LFG at high level is because you basically get put into a 6-stack, and then that puts you in the queue with all the other 6-stacks, and that could just be an actual proper 6-stack of coordinated people, or it could just be 6 randos like you. You don't know. You're basically playing the game on hard difficulty. For no reason. Okay, for the assurance of having a basic functioning team. Shouldn't really be the case, Blizzard, right? So, starting out on Sombra. Hero after my own heart. Interesting pathway to start us off. Just very, very quickly, worth mentioning. If you're leaving spawn as Sombra, think about where the first fight is going to be happening, right? Think about where that first fight is going to be. So, on this map, it's generally like what people call like gazebo or indoors or anything like that, or like lattice or whatever. It's the sort of the room over here, right? And it's got like a pillar in the middle, and it's got a small health pack in the middle of it. As Sombra, if you flip that small health pack rather, it makes your team's life a lot easier. So how do we make sure that we flip that? Well, what we do is we use our translocator and we use the extra speed we get from stealth to make sure that we try and get there first. We have a Lucio as well. So I like to see it just like, this really does matter, and it sounds really, really petty, and normally like I wouldn't focus on rollouts, but it does matter on the Sombra. And it matters in that if you don't get a good rollout, then you don't get a hack early on, and then you don't flip the health pack, and then suddenly you're fighting with a small disadvantage. It's not as big a deal as it used to be, but it still does help having that health pack. So throw the translocator here, teleport, run, get that health pack nice and early. If we are doing this route, if we are taking this route, what I'm really hoping to see is we don't try and hack that health pack. That's good. That's actually a thumbs up from me. Hacking that health pack would have no purpose at all. Instead, we want to get into a position where we can hack an enemy player. This is fine. Take your pick. Good shit. I want to take a quick look at our hack choices. I think we still pick a fine one, but like Hammond is okay. I would honestly say like hack the Reinhardt or hack the Pharah here, but Hammond's okay. It's just like hacking Hammond. Hacking Hammond is good when it's like you need to deal with the Hammond pushing in and engaging and stuff like that. Like then hacking Hammond is fine. But if you're just hacking him in combat, it doesn't actually change his effectiveness. Like if you think about what this Hammond's going to be doing in the fight, if no one's focusing him anyway, then he's just going to stay in like walkie mode and just shoot people, right? Which is kind of what he's going to do when hacked anyway. So if you hack the Reinhardt can't barrier it, just forces him to sort of drop his shield. If you hack the Ana, well, she's already used a cooldown, so whatever. If you hack the Pharah, then she's no longer safe. We'll just drop out the sky and get killed. We do good target prioritization in general. I like to see us focus on the Ana instead of the Hammond. Like I said, the Hammond, very low priority in combat. Outside of combat, excellent hack. In combat, low prio. Well, Moira, very emphatic. Also getting ready to go in the hot tub. Minor efficiency thing, but it is kind of useful to know this sort of stuff, which is just like, if you've hacked the health pack, then you can throw a translocator in stealth, so you can already be out the door and just throw the translocator back into the room, right? And it'll just save you a second or two. Minor optimization, but kind of worth getting into the habit of. Like, you can throw translocators when stealth, so abuse that. This is overthinking our positioning quite a lot. It's like we have a plan, but we don't act upon the plan. So, okay, so we look for the Pharah. Oh, we spot the Pharah, and it's like, okay, well, we're going to try and hack the Pharah. I wouldn't mind seeing us just stick to our guns and just go all the way around the back. Team is badly over-engaging, but yeah, just stay on the Hammond. Good stuff. Hopefully the team just stabilizes on point. Don't bother hacking him here. Yeah. If he's already used Wraith Form, like, what is hacking him going to do? There's a very, very, very low... Like, he died very early in the previous fight. He's not going to have his ultimate, so... Like, just fucking shoot him here. One him behind a corner so you can't see it. Really overthinking it. Really, really overthinking it. Like, the enemy is all in, like, this way, right? They're not gonna... If an enemy is over there and spot your translocator, then fucking hats off to him. You know? You just fucking let them have it at that point. They'd have to be real dedicated to find that. If it's safely behind your area your team controls, don't worry about that. The second Reaper effect is healing passive. I don't believe it does, no. No, I'm pretty certain it doesn't.
Why didn't you pick Pharah?
I told you, play.
There's a Pharah flying around. Be careful.
Don't worry. Whoa, what the fuck?
Okay, this is a perfect hack. Yeah, easy. Free kill. Or free EMP, I guess. Don't like that EMP.
He's got his ult.
Don't like that EMP. The reason why I don't like that EMP is because you can kind of measure, like... If the hack doesn't kill the Hammond here, an EMP probably won't either, which is a really weird thing to say, but like let's go into this. So this is like a really good hack. This is where you should be on voice comms going, Hammond, Hammond's hacked, like focus him. He's free. But then the Ana's healing him up, and then it's just us doing DPS to him, and this should be like your warning sign of, okay, the Doomfist isn't actually helping us here. He's not actually doing anything with this, and no one else is shooting this guy. So what does it change? Does anything actually change here when we use the EMP? No. Now he's got two supports on him, and now we have to pull back because we're a little bit nervous about damage. So it's one of those things of like weighing the situation properly and going, huh, okay, we can't actually do this. And then this is just where you let it go. Like, you stall, and then... The Forest swap is an interesting choice. So again, I must reiterate, this is pre-patch. So, like, this is old Pharah. And they're stalling. Honestly, your team's doing... Actually, no, your team's doing a terrible job stalling. Missed boop opportunity. Oh. Anytime you see someone in a position like this, if you can Cuss It Blast, like, right underneath him, that should be enough to launch him. Not 100% chance, but it's not bad for a free kill. It's come off cooldown. It's worth looking for these sorts of things. Just gonna go get the health pack. Time to go around the outside. I don't like us still being here. This is so risky at this point. Interesting choice to suicide there. You could have done a number of things here, actually. Let's say, okay, so after this kill, instead of going up and over, I'd like to see us just go this way. Just back out. But the reason why we've picked Pharah, for example, and we should be considering, is that their team is really bad at medium to long range. Right? This is the reason why people have been going, oh, pick Pharah, pick Pharah, pick Pharah. It's like their team has no answers to this at all, except for their Pharah, and their Pharah is not really going to be able to hit you because this is gold. So yeah, if you just backed off this way, you could regroup with your team and maybe make something out of these 2 kills. By suiciding, well, their Lucio's going to respawn earlier than you do, he's going to get back, and any advantage this play made is just instantly nullified. So what I was hoping to see when you did this movement is you just drop down sort of below sight line and you just drift this way.
Yeah, move up, move up.
Because they'd probably be able to do 5 damage. Yeah, at this point, it's like, it's just a shame that, you know, you didn't just immediately back away. Because before then you were on 100-ish hit points, and that's plenty.
One Pharah.
So yeah, just at this distance, don't bother shooting that far. Just look for stuff on the ground. Lucio helps peeling.
There's 1 in health.
He's going to pick up a large health pack though, so that Reaper's going to be fine. Nice. Just basically get right on top of her. Okay, I don't like the hesitation here. So let's talk about Pharah on Pharah action. The best and easiest way to win a Pharah on Pharah fight is you literally just pretty much try and land on their head. Like, you drift this way and you try and land right above her. So, like, the fact that we're sort of keeping a distance here, we just drift forward and try and drift on top of her. And, like, we stop here, for example, just keep moving forward. You want to close that gap because she's busy trying to shoot at the Moira. If you land 1 rocket here, well, it's a 2 versus 1. You probably win. It's a great concussive blast opportunity. Dink. Nope, he's grappled on the side. Yep, he's back in. Happens. Stay on the Reaper. We're overthinking our rockets, and this is why I feel like the Pharah changes the nerf, by the way, because this is what a lot of Pharah gameplay ends up looking like. Yeah. We're overthinking our shots here. Where it's like we're trying to lead him, we're trying to land these body shots, just shoot his feet. Just repeatedly shoot his feet.
Nice combo.
Right, the Moira did more damage than us there, and that's a feels bad, man. Nice. Nice. I like the punch to finish. Put a little bit of Spammerino in there. Should probably be playing from the top. Just keep in mind that you don't have much healing available to you, so you want to be a little bit careful here. Team's being very over-aggressive. Okay, this I don't like. This I don't like. Think about what's going to be happening next, okay? We're coming up to 90%. The enemy has to get on to the point. What is our next play here? What is our next move? Our next move is quite simple. We just, like, chances are the enemy's going to come through this tunnel and go to the point, right? And that means they have to go through this space here. So if all we do is we float this way and we wait up here-ish, well, when they come out this doorway, you hit a concussive blast here and someone goes off the edge. There's a very, very high chance you get that kill. If you don't get that kill, then you fire 1 rocket and you barrage down on top of this doorway. Right? We have lots of good options. Lots of actually really good options here. So there they go. Boop doesn't work. Rocket does work. Oh, oh. Yeah. That's rough, buddy. Sword to Tracer I'm fine with. Gotta get to the point. 1, 2, 3. Blink! Oh, God, that was risky. The reason why that's risky is, like, think about what this Ana can see. It's just like a Tracer roaming in front of her. I would just like the safety of just get on the fucking point here, right? The Ana just sees like a Tracer trundling in front of her. If she just had any ounce of brain in her head, it would just be, oh, it's a sleep dart. It's a free Tracer. Now you can get off the point. Reinhardt's on the point, you can actually afford to get off it. There's no point in you just playing on the point here. Let's talk about target priority. You're actually doing the right thing here. You spot the Ana, and it's like, okay, well, we can kill the Ana. And then we make this confusing blink this way. And then we make this even more confusing decision, I think, which is going this way. All the time you're doing this movement, your team is fighting, and your team is fighting down in numbers. That's not good. What should we have done here? We've correctly identified that the Ana is just sort of out in no man's land here, right? So if we just blink out and just go for the Ana, there's a good chance that we just kill her. Or at least put enough pressure on her that she stops healing and stuff like that. Like, she's used her grenade. We have Coalescence going.
Oh, fuck.
I'd rather see us just harrying the Ana and trying to just do what we can to her than trying to do anything too fancy. This is Chaos, and that team's just going to win out through sheer damage. Because your team took a lot of early losses and the fight's kind of unwinnable.
Unlucky. Oh, I didn't lose so badly. Don't know why.
What is this guy rambling about? Let's listen to what the prince has to say in an assessment.
Unlucky. Oh, I didn't lose so badly. Don't know why.
Oh, he's down on himself. Ah, bless him. He's doing so badly and he doesn't know why. Stop playing Roadhog. Unless you have an Orisa, playing Roadhog is just like a no-no.
Okay, do you wanna go?
I love this. I love this guy. Great choice, ignoring the Pharah. Notice that when you swap to try and counter the Pharah, you actually fucking started losing. You honestly could have won that with the Doomfist Sombra, and just you literally could win that by literally ignoring the Pharah. You just kill everything else first.
What?
Git?
Oh, why?
Because there is not enough healing with this
Yeah,
We need
okay,
two
what-
healers, of course. Nah.
Zen Lucio.
DPS,
I kind of agree with the Orisa. It's a very low healing comp, especially with a McCree. You want something a little bit more oomph, but see how it works. This is honestly with current patch. This is where the soldier could be good. I don't like this decision at all. Almost pays off. Almost get punished.
That's wonderful.
Mash the X button. So, why don't I like this decision at all? So think about your team comp. Think about how this team comp works. Okay, let's go back to the start and let's look at this team comp. This and all of this can work together as a single big unit and just play together and just shoot stuff. McCree, when he starts roaming on his own, is actually really weak. McCree on his own, when he's not in free-for-all and not just engaging in 1 versus 1s constantly, he's actually in a really vulnerable position. And so we get a little bit lucky here, in that we managed to catch both of these guys with this one flashbang. It's a beautiful follow-up shot on the Reaper. Almost kills the Reaper straight up, which is lovely. But that could have gone very badly. Like, imagine if their Roadhog had followed. Like, if they had actually done something sensible here and just moved together as a team, you just die 9 times out of 10. Like, there is nothing good for you there. Instead, just play as according to what your team will actually do, which is play with your Orisa, play under the barrier, play to counter their Pharah.
That's a wonderful one.
It's actually a nice shot. Doofus with the finish.
What's the Baron?
See what I mean by roaming around on your own?
Where is it, right?
Stick with your team. Like, McCree is one of those heroes that needs to be very, very grounded and constantly with his team, constantly protected by his team, constantly playing with his team. If you're doing other stuff, it's just not going to work out, unfortunately. If you want to be that more sort of free roaming and more like a free agent, then you're going to be playing soldier.
Mind killing fucking fire.
So we're doing like a lot of overcomplicated movement here, which we don't really need to be doing. So the first thing I want to comment on is like shooting this Pharah. We're half doing what we need to be doing, but we're half doing what we don't need to be doing. So notice how little we move the mouse here when we move around this corner, which is partially correct. The thing to take stock of is A, the Pharah is low to the ground. She has a Discord orb, and she's kind of just floating around. She doesn't have a mercy or anything. So we can just kind of take our time. Because if you land 2 or 3 shots, that's going to be enough to win. And she has to land like 3 or 4 rockets. And you have a barrier right here. You've got healers. So just take your time with these shots. It's a little bit unfortunate we missed that one. A little bit of an overestimate there. Yeah, just like, it feels like our shooting is a little bit rushed here. After that, you've just got to sort of hope that your healers are paying attention. Stick in this space where, like, we want to be sort of in this area where we can help our Orisa and play around with our Orisa. We spot the Lucio, but we don't flashbang him. Like, you can see he's coming there. You can hear him, and then you sort of see him. Your reaction should be instant flash here. If you can't kill him, someone else probably can. Right, this is why we have our flashbang. Then just, like, if we are scared as well, like, just minor correction on our movement. If you are really scared and you just want to focus on getting healed up, move to somewhere completely safe. Like, don't... This is like a half-house movement where it's like, oh, well... we're worried about our health and we want to get healed, but we still move into a space where we're out slightly in the open. Like, the enemy could fire through here, or there could just be a random ass roadhog in the back line. Like, here is safer. Your team has the point, which is okay. I get the feeling this zen's gonna go, why isn't anyone shooting the Farah?
Yeah, but heal me, guys. 3 peaks. Why you fucking played Zen? I told you.
Oh god, this Lucio is triggering me. This Lucio is triggering me so much. If you're playing Lucio and you see that someone is on half hit points, the Lucio should just move around and heal. Honestly, your team will play very well from like over here, and then the Orisa can just fall back as necessary. Your team can actually hold that corner super nicely.
We don't need Zenyatta, we don't need to stay me alive and other guys. Fucking gold. What a master.
Play a little bit risky there. Touch early with the flash. Don't be afraid to, like... The thing with, like, the weakness of Wraith form is that it has a very, very clear announcement and tell when you are coming out of Wraith form, right? He does, like, this. There's a noise and there's an animation. Like, listen and watch. Right, there's that whoosh noise, and you, like, because when in Wraith form he, like, does this weird thing with his hands where he's, like, floating around like, oh, I'm a spooky ghost, and then he brings his hands down and he's ready to start shooting again. So what we should do when we sort of see that the Reaper is doing this, that's when you just prepare to flashbang. And then if you flash him on the way out and you just right-click him, there's 1 or 2 other people there, honestly, he just dies straight away. We can move forward a little bit, just take your time. Flash it.
Point.
The D.Va kind of fucked up there. If you're playing D.Va and they're just barraging that close, literally just park your mech underneath them and let them kill themselves. The other thing that we could have done here, that I would have liked to see, is honestly you could just Deadeye at this point. Like, we do a good job. The flashbang is great. The attempt at a headshot is fine, and then you just hit Deadeye because that puts the monkey on a timer. And so he has to either, like, try and kill you, in which case you can probably get a lot of damage on him. He probably will kill you, but you'll probably fire off the Deadeye before he does. And you get a shitload of damage. Because if you think about it in this way, if he just, like, went for you there, he would probably kill you regardless, right? He actually does, like, a really clever thing, which he just actually takes the point, which shouldn't happen. Like, the Orisa should move onto the point during this moment, but hey. So yeah, don't be afraid to, like, Deadeye to, like, put a timer and pressure on enemies trying to do things. Like, that's what Deadeye's really good at doing. It, like, pushes people out, it pushes people back, or forces them to over-engage to try and deal with you. And Winstons aren't actually that good at dealing with you.
Okay, group up.
Okay.
You know what time it is.
So this is actually where I'd like to see us check something. Do we check it as we leave spawn? Because I want to know something, which is, does the Lucio have sound barrier? Because the way to get value out of this Deadeye isn't to do, like, a cute flank, in my mind. Right? If this to me is like, oh, I'm trying to set up to do a Deadeye, and Bamboozled has spoiled it by saying, watch me not use Deadeye for ages. But this is like a movement saying, hey, I want to, like, go up here and try and Deadeye from a cute angle, or I'll go and move through here and try and Deadeye from up here. Does that feel safer against a Winston, a Farah, I think they still have the Roadhog. Does that feel safer against those heroes than just being behind an Orisa barrier with 2 supports? No, it doesn't. If you just walk behind your supports and just Deadeye under the Orisa barrier, they can't actually do anything about that. The other thing as well to keep in mind is if you have sound barrier and you Deadeye while you're sound barrier, then you're going to be a lot safer as well. So it's just like little things that should help set up an outplay. We can actually, like, the enemy team's not good at countering peek, so we can actually peek out here and just start taking pot shots of the Pharah. Think about what the enemy team can actually realistically do to us here. Roadhog Hook is something to be scared of if they still have the Roadhog. I don't know if they still do. And the Pharah can fire rockets at us. We can win against the Pharah if we just take some pot shots at her, so there's a chance we just kill the Pharah off. Something was underneath us, by the way. Yeah. So there, they do still have the Roadhog. See what I mean by just being off?
Oh man! What the fuck is wrong? Oh man!
There's the Doomfist. Let us follow the Doomfist. Let us see what leads to this. Oh, he's gone this way. Can we spot it? He's all the way over here. How's he fucked this up? Oh no, he's gone off that side. I thought he went into the well. He's just bounced off this side of the map for some reason. Doomfist. Doomfist, everybody. Well done, Doomfist. Here, as weird as it sounds, like your team comp, I think, probably just beats theirs if you just stick together and play with your Orisa.
After I blew up far, what happened then? I was doing other things.
Can't hear a word this guy is saying. The Lucio is engaging the Pharah. This is a problem. He kind of fucked it. Yeah. Let's talk about this push. So we actually do check. We press tab before engaging, which I always like. We engage without our D.Va. We press tab at some point here.
After I blew up far, what happened then?
I'm not crazy.
Doing other things.
We press tab at some point. So first and foremost, the Doomfist should not be just trying to engage the Pharah. Oftentimes that's a bad matchup for Doomfist. We shouldn't be this scared. I don't know why we're this scared. You have your target in sight. This is your target. This is what you need to be dealing with. This is your focus. This here is priority number 1 for us, right? And she's just out in the open. You're in actually a reasonably safe position here. You're with your team, surrounded by teammates. There's a chance that a Roadhog can come out from behind you, but it's honestly quite unlikely. You've got an Orisa holding the front line. We're actually in a pretty good position here. So I don't get why we take a couple of steps. Like, I don't understand this movement back. At all. The Winston makes a good play. And we just get pinned in. Trance comes out a little bit late. Sounds like a Lucio ult. That's their Lucio ult, isn't it?
It's unbelievable.
And this is like one of those weird games where the team just isn't playing with each other. Holy shit. So honestly, you could have dead-eyed it just when you come around this corner as well. So you see this opportunity. 2 supports. Honestly, it's worth just pressing Q here. We go for a slightly riskier one. Absolutely pays off. People busy fighting other people is one of the best times to Deadeye, right? Because suddenly they have to like go, oh shit, where's the McCree? What do I do? Do I run? Do I fight? And during that moment of confusion, you can absolutely get something done.
Okay.
I would love to see us playing with this Reinhardt.
Or you can.
We shouldn't be this far back. Think about, like, again, this is like a Soldier 76 position. if you're playing McCree at the corner, you can control the corner. So if someone tries to go by, you can just flashbang them to get a bunch of damage and get some free shots, sets up other people to do some damage, all that kind of stuff. If you're playing all the way back here, okay, we can do some spam damage as they come in, but we can't actually like control the space. If they want to close in on you, they're going to close in on you. So, yeah.
Just hard sets in.
And but like playing with a Lucio is always a good idea as well. And I know we can. This is this is a risky move. I don't like us moving this way. Okay. Our perception of where safety is worries me. So I'm fine with this. And like spotting this and going, okay. And then a Roadhog shot comes from this direction. Right? The Roadhog shrapnel flies this way. Where is safety? Where is safety at? Spoiler, it's not this way. Why do we run this way? Why, for the love of Christ, why do we run this way? If the Roadhog followed through on this, we would be in so much trouble. And then, yeah, that's a ballsy right click. Pays off. Try and get out of the habit of doing that. You can refine that sort of play in free-for-all. Just focus on left-clicking people. Fuck the Roadhog. So you see these rockets splashing in? The Roadhog sort of bounce around the corner and then poke this way. Stick with the Lucio and just go and focus on that Pharah. Let the rest of the team worry about sort of that shit. You can just stop this Pharah spamming away, because that's all she's doing at the moment. There we go. Just thinking about like simple duties, like whose job is it to deal with the Pharah? It's your job.
Not even close.
I imagine this is where the Widow comes out. Almost. So Widow is a very tough hero to play on this map. Let's see how it goes.
Why do you wait? What do you want?
Okay, the Ana. I thought that was a Reaper 2 for a second. I'm guessing that's what you expected. It looks kind of like that fiery effect there looks a little bit like Reaper's teleport, and I was like, is he going for that? No. Okay. Very minor thing. Don't get too caught up in this position. So this is sort of the first mistake that a lot of Widowmakers make, I think, which is they get really, really entrenched in this spot. Right? They get really entrenched in standing here and like shooting from here. Because it's a cool spot, right? You can sort of see all the way on like the main pathway they take to get to, from the spawn to the point. You can see and do a really good job from here. Don't get over-focused on it though. The issue with this point is A, it's very predictable. So people tend, like, because you can see everything, everyone can see you, which is always a risky thing. Where's the booty? Just draw the boot. Okay, fine. Let's draw Widowmaker properly. So there she is, and then we have this, and there we go. She has a ponytail as well. Okay, so there's Widowmaker. I haven't done it in blue. Just she's in a pink jumpsuit. Okay, and yeah, so don't get entrenched in this position because you can see everyone. Everyone can see you. Everyone expects you to be there. This is blatantly obvious. It's also very difficult for supports to help you when you're in this position, right? So when we take damage, what I'd like to see us do, the standard sort of rotation for a Widowmaker on this map is you either go from this position and you go on this side of the point, and there's like that little high ground area. The arrows are a little bit too far forward. Like over here, there's that little high ground area, and you can stand on top of that, and you can see like a lot of this space over here, right? Alternatively, you can go this way, and you can stand on top of this area, and you get a lot of sightline sort of in this space. The only thing we should really be thinking about heavily here is the Pharah, because she's just floating around. If you see a Pharah doing stuff like this, take your time. Lovely. Yeah, just the Pharah's sort of playing obliviously to your presence in the Widow, and she's just sort of floating around and bouncing about a bit. Just take your time, line up 2 shots, and get 2 shots. Oh, yeah, this is the space I'm talking about, by the way. It's a very, very nice point to play from, and it's a lot easier for supports to help you.
He's one, Rain.
Close. Good. Good. I'd like to see us pick up health before doing this. It's a really minor thing, but like 130 hit points isn't too bad to play from. But it's still like a dangerous area to be. Like if a Winston lands on you, you'd take 50 damage instantaneously. That leaves 80 damage to chip through. That's not really much. Fire rocket can almost one-shot us from this point. If it's damage boosted, it will. A lot of spam can just put us in a very, very dangerous situation. You've got a little bit of a moment here just to sort of restock. So you can either drop down and let the Mercy heal you. Just press I need healing a couple of times. Mercy should pick you up. Or just drop down, pick up the large health pack, and then grapple back up. And just sort of get your health back. We really want to not be playing with like lower health. Hammond is a bitch to headshot. He's surprisingly irritating to headshot. Let me explain why. Got a beautiful graphic here. Alright, if Hammond was Winston, like this is the difference between Winston, Hammond, and D.Va. Both Winston and D.Va have their head hitbox like here. Right? It's like in the middle of the target. And then the rest of them is sort of, you know, you just do general damage all around it, right? Hammond isn't like that. Hammond has his headshot up here. And then the rest of him is all down here. So if you're going for headshots on Hammond and you miss, well, you don't do any damage. If you're going for headshots on Winston or D.Va and you miss, you still do damage. Well, I find headshotting Hammond a pain in the ass. Okay, so we reset to high ground. Nice. I love the fact that we didn't like snapshot, we just took our time. We saw that the Lucio again is just playing kind of obliviously. He's just running out. Take your time, fire a shot. You know what she's going to do, you know what she's going for. She's picked up the large health pack, that's a pain. Good.
Okay, I'll get Widow one sec.
Stay focused on that Mei. Good shit. You have advantage. We can position a little bit more aggressively here if you really want to. There's a couple of places we can go, just for your consideration. You can actually, when you have infrasight up and they don't, you can actually take up position on top of this pillar here. Gives you good vision down the center of the map, and like if their Widow isn't expecting you here, then you can generally pop their Widow. You could also just do the normal thing of going up here. You can go on to top of the temple. I would definitely move away from this side and probably play more from this side or up here this time, just to vary up your positioning a little bit. So yeah, it's fine going over here. Ooh, Jesus. This is sort of the issue with this side, is that you don't have a huge amount of vision. Yeah, I don't know what we are firing at here. Do we think we see something all the way over there? The issue with firing a shot like that is, well, there's their Widow. And we've just given away our position. Very lucky that we don't die. Nice. I like this angle. I like this angle a lot, actually.
Help me. Thank you.
Almost. Do what damage you can. The Widow's dead.
Help line, help line, help line.
You can play it a little bit more aggressively now. So think about what they can do to deal with you. It's pretty much just their Widow and Mei spam and the Ana as well. The Ana's a problem.
Oh, nice.
Okay, D.Va's now hunting us down as well. Move towards the team. Not committing a lot of ults to this. This is fine. Okay. There was a red pixel. There was a red pixel, to your credit.
I just got ulti by Reinhardt. Long. One man ulti.
Fuck you, D.Va.
Yeah, I don't know. I used my ult against the other Rain, but didn't
Oh god.
without the other
When we don't know where the enemy Widow is, we shouldn't be jumping. Right? We should not be jumping when we don't know where their Widow is. So we have no idea where she is. She could be... So we need to check the common spot. So we've checked on top of the Acropolis. She's not there. She's not up here either. She could be over here. She could be behind over here. She could just be in the middle. She could be in a lot of places. If you just let the grapple run out, then Widow just like plonks and she'll just stand like here, right? I don't know what I've done there, but it's terrible. So yeah, she'll just plonk up here. By jumping out, well, if there were those like here, 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 up here, there's a good chance that she just spots us and goes, "Oh, predictable arc." Bang, dead. Dumb. So yeah, the D.Va's definitely going to come after us. Nice.
Right, I got a D.Va bomb.
Nice. Just keep shooting. Nice. D.Va bomb gets it. Don't get got by their D.Va bomb.
Let's go point, guys.
Up on the Reaper. Nice.
He's
Good
one,
stuff.
he's one.
Ignore the person shouting "go point." It's not your job. I know it's like a meme, and it's like, "Oh, we don't make it. Get on the objective." You've got 3 people on it. You are much better looking over the objective than you are on it. I like the patience in the shots. I like the fact that we're just aiming.
Heal me!
Nice. Good follow up on the Doomfist. They don't have a Widow of their own at the moment, so you are fine. Just taking it steady. Interesting choice for the D.Va, just to stand still. Lovely. So one thing I would say is, like, I don't like this target switch. I appreciate that the Winston bubble is kind of messing us up here, but I'd like to see us just stay on the Winston. Just because, like, that's where the team's focusing. It's very unusual. This is why I always shout at people when they just stand fucking still for no reason. Because why? Free headshot, okay. Fine shooting the Lucio. It's just like shooting the D.Va's still going to take 2 shots, even if you land both headshots. Help kill the Winston on the point. Then everything else just sort of follows suit. She might go for the health pack. Weird choice going for you. And team should just kill her off. This should actually be fairly textbook. I like the patience that we're showing with our shots. We're giving ourselves time to aim, time to do things. A little bit too much patience there. Far too much patience. Just fucking shoot him. He's in your crosshair. Look, he's in your crosshair. Oh, he's gone now. What, is there a cat on the mouse mat? What's happening here? We didn't even fire a shot. We've distracted ourselves somehow. Are we trying to shoot Snowball? I wish you could just shoot Snowball. It's like we're trying to shoot Snowball. Look at this little son of a bitch. If I can get him on camera. Come on. There he is. Look at this guy. Look at his evil little face as well. Look. Ooh. Ooh, cute. I'm going to freeze everybody, and then my friend's going to shoot everybody in the head. Yeah, don't shoot Snowball. You can't do it, unfortunately. Interesting thing about Winston's head hitbox. It's the brown hat. We've shot him in the neck. Close, no cigar. It's worth taking the time just to land the headshot. 300 damage rather than 120. It's pretty good. Just get damage on this Reaper. Stuff. Move towards your team. Good. I like the movement to safety. Nice. Widow play is actually okay. Our Widow play was a lot better than our McCree play. So let's run through it quickly on like all the things that we need to be changing, and see what play the game is. We don't give a shit. Right. First thing, Sombra, minor optimization. Make sure that if you can impact where the first fight is happening by hacking a health pack, impact where the first fight is happening by hacking a health pack. 100% of the time. Really, really useful for your tanks, really useful for establishing ground and pushing them back. It's just a very, very cool thing to do. In general, like on most maps, on like payload and stuff like that, your first hack is generally going to go into an enemy. On control, it's a bit different. On control, your first hack can go on a health pack if it's relevant. On Ilios, especially on this map and on Ruins, there's 2 very good health packs. Like on Ruins, there's the large health pack in the middle of the map near the cliff edge, and then on this map, there's the one in the middle. It's very, very useful. It tends to be where the first fight happens. Hacking that's got to be more important than getting like a sneak through here. Don't overthink placing your translocator. Just put it down somewhere over here, run out, and start impacting the battle. So yeah, this like save yourself a couple of seconds here. You could have caught the Farah, for example, in this moment here. So we spot the Pharah, she's out in the open, maybe we catch her a little bit more vulnerable. Get the hack, kill the Pharah, no problem. So just minor optimization with that. EMP. Like, this is just reading the fight properly.
Around. Be careful.
Where we get a good hack on the Hammond. And it's like, this is where we want to get a hack on the Hammond. This is where you use voice and you just show, Hammond, 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 he's hacked, kill him, kill him, kill him. Please, please, please. Like, if the Diva helps you, the Doomfist helps you, this guy just dies. Unfortunately, it's just you. Using an EMP to try and guarantee a single kill like this when no one else is paying attention either is painful. And this is sort of the learning moment for you. In particular, is like, don't do this. Right? Don't think that magically people are going to respond better to this than they would just a hack. They should, but in my practical experience, if you're struggling to get a kill and you EMP to try and guarantee the kill, all that usually happens is either A, you get one kill, which is or B, you don't get the kill and you've EMP for nothing and everyone goes, what the fuck are you doing, man? Oh my god. And it's like, yeah. It's like, there's enough time here to realize, hang on, they're not actually doing anything. My team's shit. Lol. Again, if they're going all the way over here and finding your translocator, they deserve to find your translocator. And then there's just a couple of minor things like, you know, Reapers, if they've already used Wraith form, don't be afraid to just fucking shoot them. There's no real benefit otherwise. Pharah, try and land on top of the enemy Pharah in this case, at this point. Control, like, especially on this map, this is one of the best positions you can possibly occupy. Just because the enemy movement paths tend to be through here or through here, so you can just get above them very easily on both of them. You can move to safety very easily by moving back here. Supports can play with you and see you very easily and stuff, and you have very good boot potential if they try and move this way by bashing people off the side of the map here. Okay. McCree. Let's very quickly, let's ignore the Tracer. McCree, play with your team. Play with your tanks, primarily. If the team's staying in one big bundle, play like with your tanks and supports. Stick with your Orisa, especially on a setup like this one, especially on a map where, like, if you've got McCree to counter the Pharah, counter the goddamn Pharah. If you just stand behind Orisa's barrier and shoot the Pharah, you win. The Pharah can literally not do anything about that. Like, it's next to impossible for the Pharah to handle that. So, go for it. Other than that, like, stay with your team a little bit more. Again, we have this sort of weird moment, like here, where we're low. I think we go for a health pack and we just find the Reaper. You got two supports there. Like, you are very much entitled to use them. Just spam the I need healing button. The supports should be looking after you. Deadeye, don't get cute. Don't get, like, overcomplicated with your Deadeyes. Just stick with your team, play with your team, work with your team to get them done. Deadeyes from, like, the middle of your team tend to do more than Deadeyes, like, flanking Deadeyes can work, but only when you are super safe and you know that you're super safe in doing them. Like, the enemy team's already engaged, for example, and then you can use it, or there's an EMP and then you can Deadeye from somewhere. Don't overcomplicate things. On this map in particular as well, just like as a final note, I'd like to see us play with this corner a lot more. If they have a Pharah, you can actually play from, like, back here a little bit and just shoot, and then if you see that she's going to go for a concussive blast, you just move in. It's very difficult for her to land a concussive blast that knocks you in, actually. So yeah. Now, I like controlling this corner as McCree myself. I think if you're going to play from back here, you more actually want to be playing a soldier. And this is just where I'd like to see us push out that Pharah, just kill the Pharah, and then you'll be good. You'll be Gucci. And finally, cap things off with the Widow play here. Just a little bit of extra mobility. If you are repositioning, take the time to heal up. So, you know, we spend a lot of time on 130 hit points. And it's like, there's no reason, like, if we're going to reposition from here, pop. You know, if we are dropping down to there, there's no reason why we don't pick up a large health pack, you know. Like, there's a large health pack right here. It takes 1 second longer to grab it. You're on full hit points. You're a lot safer. It's a lot harder to do things against you. Other than that, like, in general, our Widow play actually looked okay. Like, the aim can use work, of course, and sort of basics fundamentals could use a little bit of specking up, but I like the fact that we are making sure that we are landing shots, and then this is where this is why I believe that Widowmaker is actually very, very team-based overall, if you are playing in the lower ranks as Widow, because you generally need other people finishing targets off for you. But you're doing a big chunk of damage, you get a big chunk onto Lucio, he's already taken damage, he dies. Good stuff happening here, where we're just making sure we're landing these shots, we're anticipating where people are moving, putting bullets there when necessary. I have a bit of a brain fart there. I can kind of see what you mean. There is like a red pixel there, but yeah. Lesson learned. It's a nice little angle. Wouldn't mind seeing us be a little bit more flexible in where we position, but overall it's pretty good. And then we lose the fights that we need to lose. I'd also say, like, the other small note is that use Infrasight to play more aggressively, especially if they have another Widow. Like, you know where she is, so you can play it that little bit more aggro. And just, like, anticipate, well, she's there, and I think she's looking this way, so then if I move here and I shoot, then I just win. It's a very, very advantageous position to play from. Right. If you have questions, now's the time. I should probably say ask questions beforehand. If you have no questions, then I shall wrap things up. You can ask anything DPS related, anything, to be honest. You've got me. You might as well ask questions if you got them. Otherwise, I shall end the stream. Why do I have no questions? Because you're an unimaginative soul. And the review was comprehensive. Otherwise, if you want to send footage in, of course, then please do. Coaching the Many. So it's omreviews@gmail.com. It's in the description below on YouTube. It will be in chat in a second when I put it there. How do I become an Overwatch League pro? Become a pro in Europe, then get picked up for a North American contenders team, and then maybe if you're lucky and you're popular, you might get picked up in an Overwatch League team, or be really good in Korean. Does Defense Matrix go through shields? I believe it does, yes. Yeah, it goes through walls. It must go through shields. Defense Matrix can like eat Hanzo ults out of walls, so it should go through a barrier, no problem. In the new patch, how do you see Tracer working games in general? You pick Tracer, you do really well, and then someone picks Brigitte, and you swap off Tracer. Same place as she was before. I don't see Tracer really changing. Torbjorn's presence actually might make Tracer's life even more miserable. So if they have a Torbjorn, yeah, it's going to be even harder, because everyone's going to have armor, and the turret, like, Tracer's advantage is that she avoids damage. The turret means you can't avoid damage, and that's a problem. And because the turret's, like, instantly level 2, that's going to make life harder. So Torb's actually going to be a pain in the ass. It always has been a pain in the ass for Tracers, to be honest. You talked about the differences playing 76 and McCree, and I understood that McCree should be playing more with a team. 76 can be alone and flank more. Yeah, 76 is a lot more... 76 can do a lot more things at any given time, right? He's a lot less limited in what he can do. You can sort of run out and shoot people. Tor doesn't give armor anymore. True, but you can armor himself up, and the turret's still, like, the big problem. The turret's the real sort of kicker, and it's always going to be level 2 now, and it's always going to be placed in obnoxious places, because you can get it anywhere. So yeah, with Soldier, like, you should be spending most of your time with the team, but you shouldn't be afraid also to, like, range out a little bit, and you can use your mobility and your self-heal to just play a little bit more dynamically and sort of set up crossfires a little bit more. With McCree, the moment you leave the team, if the enemy engages on you with more than one person, you just die. Right, you just lose. There's no good way of winning that fight. So with McCree, you've got to be a lot more careful and considerate with how you place yourself. Soldier can get away with a lot more, so he can do a lot more. How come when I Google you, no pictures come up with your face? Because I don't put my face out there too much, is the general reason why. I imagine the sort of icon comes up a lot more, and the YouTube channel and stuff. A lot of thumbnails should probably come up as well, knowing Google. But yeah, I don't put my face out much on, like, on YouTube and stuff. I have a face cam, but that's about it. Do you think Blizzard have gotten Torb and Sim into a pretty stable place now with the changes? Symmetra? No. Hell no. Torbjorn? Very hard to know. I think Torbjorn's in a better place, and honestly, I think Symmetra is in a better place. She's just undertuned at the moment, where she doesn't really have an identity. Like, she doesn't really do anything that it makes her worth having. Like, the teleport is gimmicky, but not as useful as you would expect. And I think Symmetra is one of those heroes as well that I think is very, very complicated in terms of what she can do for the team at the moment. And I don't think anyone's spending enough time figuring out what you can actually do with her that makes her work and exciting. And also I think her ultimate is a really, really weird one where it's like, okay, well, if you have, like, you know, why would you have Symmetra over having Pharah or having Genji? You know, the ult just isn't quite as good. So Symmetra is like a really complicated one. I think she feels undertuned at the moment. It feels like she can be buffed up a little bit because honestly, she feels very, very throwy at the moment. With Torbjorn, definitely think he's in a better place than before. A lot more dynamic, a lot more interesting. He's going to be doing more exciting and interesting things, and I think that's pretty cool. Is that really? Okay, I think it's actually because like, so look at Mercy's leg, right? Look at Mercy's leg. Look at the shape of her leg here. Right, this is her foot, and then it looks like her foot just kind of like does this, but it's actually the metal is blending in with the background, and her foot's actually like this. I just thought like Mercy's leg looks really fucked up here, but no, it's actually okay. It's a hoof. Actually, good way to draw feet. Just in general, this is a Keenan Lafferty tip that is really fucking good. If you want to ever draw feet, draw a hoof, and then fill in the ankle. And then suddenly you have a foot shape, right? This is a basic foot shape. Of course, you can refine it like this should be a little bit like this, and this should actually be more like this. And there you go, you got a foot, right? And then you can just like refine the shape. But this is a good basic way to draw a foot. Is you draw a hoof and then you fill in the ankle. What do you think Blizz should do about all the CCs in games? Free work heroes introduce some form of counter, reduce knockbacks. The issue with introducing a counter to the CC is that it's like you start running into what happened in WoW, where it's like, okay, well they have this crowd control effect, so then you need to have this dispel effect. So then if this hero appears, if hero A appears, you need to have hero B to counter, right? So as an artist, I'm not convinced. It's actually really, like, I'm doing it really bad because I'm just doing it with Epic Pen, but it is like a really, really good way of doing things. You draw the foot, you draw the heel, and then you have like the basic shape of a foot available to you very quickly. So a very, very good way to sketch things. But yeah, so if you start like having dispels and counter stuns and like, oh, if this hero puts on an effect that stops you being stunned, it's like, it sort of makes things iffy. The first thing I think they should do is make tanks more stun resistant, or like, especially like pushback and knockback resistant. Reinhardt especially needs to be heavier, and needs to like not get knocked around quite so much and not booped around quite so much, just to make him feel a lot better. So yeah. Adding a new hero to deal with, and so yeah, it's like the other thing that maybe they want to look into with time is like diminishing returns, things like that. The other thing I would say is that I think they need to have like, I think the issue isn't crowd control, the issue is Brigitte. So like the issue with Brigitte is that she's just good at a lot of things. So she's very defensive. She can heal okay. Like honestly, her healing is like the worst part of her kit, which is weird. She's very, very good at burst and emergency healing, but in terms of stable support healing, it's bad, right? She doesn't really fill a support slot very well, but she has great crowd control and no penalties. She has decent DPS, like where she can like hit multiple heroes at once. She's very good in a brawl. She'll grind people down and kill them. It's very, very reliable, and she can burst down traces. She can do about 170 damage very quickly. So that's fine. And then she's also like almost unpunishable, right? So you can't punish her. So the end result with Brigitte is that, well, you've got this hero that will reliably crowd control, reliably deal a lot of damage, and has a really good burst heal on people. Suddenly there's like no reason not to play her. Whereas if she felt more penalized for having like this great crowd control, and she like, if to use it, maybe she has to be very vulnerable, like, you know, a certain hero has to be to try and do his stuff, well then suddenly Brigitte feels a lot more vulnerable, and then suddenly she feels a lot more interesting, and there's a lot more decisions being made in terms of what she's doing when she's shield bashing and things like that. I think that's sort of the biggest issue with crowd control at the moment, is that like you get crowd control and no one can do anything about it. The Brigitte just stuns you and keeps the barrier up, and she can just get away with it for free. So yeah. Blop is no basic shape. Just draw along those, right? Look, it's a really good way of drawing feet. I'm really not shitting you here. Okay, I'm doing it really badly, but it does give you like a good dynamic shape for the foot, right? And just like in this case, you just draw like the hoof, and then you just fill in where the ankle would be, and it just forms a foot really dynamically. If you look at here, look, the foot is basically a hoof shape. It's really, really good. Trust me, really good. I've seen suggestions for Brick Shields to lose half health or break. I think like having it break is one thing. I think just having it, like maybe you just get locked out of it or something as well, would work. would be quite nice. Okay, and also, sorry, Dutila had a question as well. Best 2 heroes from each category, tank, DPS, and healing. Winston, Reinhardt for tanks. Actually, no. Like, just taking it as like tank, DPS, and heal, which isn't kind of fair. Because in Overwatch, there's technically like 6 roles, right? There's like MT, OT, main DPS, off DPS, flex support, and main support. And so, like, the names of flex support and main support are kind of weird as well, because like these days main support, like the main brunt of your healing is the one that swaps a lot, and flex support is your Zenyatta at the moment, is just mostly staying on Zen. In terms of main tanks, like Ryan is probably, as much as it pains me to say, probably in the best position out of all of them. Winston's still okay, like Ryan, Winston are still really good here. Off tanks, I'd say Zarya's in a really good place at the moment. Diva is still a very good, strong hero as well. I think Roadhog is just fucking terrible at the moment. Main DPS Soldiers are actually probably in a really good spot this patch. Like, I think people are sleeping on Soldier a lot. Doomfist is still really, really strong. Fire's kind of in a bad place at the moment. McCree's still okay in terms of main DPS roles. And then for here, I think Genji's actually still in a good place. Believe it or not, Genji's still okay, especially with Ana coming back in the meta. I think Genji's probably the one most suited to being here. Doomfist can kind of bounce between these 2 roles. In terms of other DPS, like Tracer's kind of in a rough spot with just Brigitte existing. Widowmaker's in a really odd spot at the moment, and say she's just kind of fallen out of favor. Hanzo still really good as well. Just thinking through all the DPS, I'm sure I'm missing people. And then like Zen is still in a really good place. Actually, I'd say like the support meta overall, it's like everyone but Mercy has their place in the game. So like there's a lot of options available. Like the current meta is still pretty fucking good. I think Brigitte, and like in supports also like Brig, but Brig is weird because she's good for reasons not support related. Genji's actually fine. Genji's pretty good at the moment. The difference between Genji and Brig is like the difference between Genji and Tracer is Tracer generally has to stay on the floor where Brig is. Genji can just not be on the floor. Forgot Sombra? Sombra, yeah, Sombra's in a really good place. Sombra's really good at the moment. She's difficult, but she's really good. Really rewarding. I love playing Sombra. Yeah, Genji, like, I think people overstate, like, how... The issue with Genji, and this is the biggest mistake I see people making with Genji, is they get, like, a massive hard-on for Genji and Ana. And they go, oh my god, Nano Blade! Oh god, it's so good. Oh yeah, you Nano Blade and you get a 6k. And then what happens is he goes, rah, and draws his blade and he dashes in and Brigitte stuns him and everyone shoots him and he dies. So if you Nano boost a Winston instead and send the Winston in, well, Brigitte stuns the Winston and then you blade and then you just kill everyone. Guess what? You've used the same 2 ultimates, way more efficient, way safer. Or you just send the Winston in and you just win with the Winston on his own. Also very possible, very viable. So yeah, like Genji, more like Brigitte causes problems for him, but if the Genji just doesn't fucking go near the Brigitte, he's fine. And Genji's always been better at like the pokey, like you play from a distance, you bounce around, you do flips, you poke, go in and get some kills. That still works just fine. Tracer doesn't work quite so well anymore because he has to get to medium to close range to do damage. Brigitte just stuns her, bashes her, she's dead. And the armor also really fucks Tracer up. Does mess with Genji a bit, but not quite as much. Right, that'll do it. I think that'll do for now. Thank you for watching to the end. This has been Coaching the Many, and yeah, I'm in Josh's OneAmongstMany, and I'll see you next time. I need to eat some food because I'm still hungry. What about Widow? Widow is difficult. Widow is dependent on what they're running. Some team comps are vulnerable to Widow, some team comps aren't. Some maps are good for Widow, some maps aren't. Dorado second point still really good for Widowmaker, for example. Numbani second, still good for Widow. Gibraltar, still really good for Widow. Hanzo being in meta also pushes Widow out a little bit. Double sniper comps can generally be beaten very easily by goats. So there's like a lot of ways of dealing with snipers now that, like in the Widow dominated meta, didn't really exist or didn't really work so well. Now there are a lot of options of just like playing goats and you just sort of fuck double sniper because double sniper can't kill anything. Or you just play Doomfist and you just jump on her and kill her. Like, there's actually a lot of good options on current patch to deal with Widow. So she's okay, she's not bad, but she's not like, oh my god, you have to have Widow in every game, which happened for a while. Yeah, that'll do it for now. I've already said bye, so I'll say bye again.